Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are, what time you are listening to this. My name is Winston, and I am your host for the Revenue Alignment Podcast. So happy and excited to have you guys here back for another episode. It's 2022, it's a brand new year, brand new things, brand new opportunities. I'm hoping that you guys seize the day and definitely seize this year. So this week, I wanted to touch on a topic because I think it's very important for us to address this. I mean, I know most of what the entire Revenue Alignment podcast is centered around is educating marketers how to prove their value at a C-suite level. And so even though that's really the main theme, I wanted to talk about this specific topic, which is for 2022 that marketers get out of the marketing bubble, right? So I really want to have a real and open and honest conversation with all of us as marketers around this. I guess you could consider this an open letter to all of you listening to this from really the bottom of my heart, because it's very important and it's something that I don't even think I can really emphasize enough. But as marketers, we struggle to prove our value at a C-suite level because we seem to be stuck in what I call the marketing bubble. Right? Now, what is the marketing bubble? Think of it as there is an enclosed space. And in this enclosed space is housed marketers of all types, disciplines, seniority, and so on. And within this space, only beliefs that are held and shared amongst marketers are considered to be right and correct. And any scrutiny or opposition to these beliefs are seen as an attack on the entire marketing community. There exists no other perspective or belief, not from the CEO, the CFO, sales leaders, or anyone else that doesn't agree with marketing, how marketers think and see things. In this space, marketers follow each other's advice. They come to express their grievances they have with other functions within the organizations not getting marketing, or that marketing only makes sense if it's focused on brand, and that the best type of marketing are those that can't be measured, right? This space and shared mindset are where these ideas have been repeated amongst marketers for so long that we start to believe that no other way or approach exists, which is dangerous in and of itself, and here's why. For one, it creates a narrow view of the world where the only beliefs we are privy to are the ones by other marketers, right? And it sort of creates this bias amongst us where we believe that every solution to a business problem is, a brand fix or a marketing fix, which sometimes that's not necessarily the case. Probably the most dangerous I've seen is it creates a state where lack of accountability is accepted, and we focus more on venting that our CEO doesn't get marketing rather than being solution oriented and think, well, how can I prove to my CEO marketing's value to the organization? Or, for those things that people say can't be measured, is there a way to measure it? Am I just accepting the status quo that it can't be measured? Or have I even tried, some ways or means of actually measuring and attributing all this to business outcomes? Also, it's a limiting belief that has held back a lot of us from getting the things we need to deliver and the results we want. This mindset is why CEOs and other C-suites don't value marketing, because we have a particular belief and we're trying to push that belief, hoping that the harder we push, the more likely we will get our way. I mean, it's human nature that, the more someone feels forced, the more resistance they give. So as marketers, we need to learn how to flow with the tide instead of trying to push our way against it. We have to understand that doing things the way we've always done them isn't serving us. As a matter of fact, I would say it's hurting us. Especially the new age belief of never working for a CEO that doesn't get marketing. I mean, it may sound like a nice, quippy social media soundbite that gets a lot of likes and hell yes from other marketers who believe this, but it's not helping us move any closer to our goals, which is to get bigger budgets, which is to get more creative freedom to execute the type of marketing we want to, which is for marketing to finally be taken seriously within our companies. We're fighting short term battles of trying to prove being a marketing focused organization is better than being a sales focused one, rather than looking at how can we win the long game. And that long game is, as I mentioned, marketing being valued within these organizations and seen more as an asset. The problem is that there's a disconnect, and here's what I mean. In 2019, I conducted a research titled The Jamaican State of Marketing. In the research, I asked over 100 Jamaican-based marketers questions around what their number one priority within their role was and the challenges keeping them from achieving that objective or priority. Of the individuals surveyed, 52.9% said that revenue-focused objectives are their number one priority. So that's majority, right? Because it's greater than 50%, so we consider it a majority. 11.8% cited brand as their number one priority. Now, here's a more shocking stat. Of all the individuals surveyed, 82.4% said their number one challenge to achieving their marketing objective was lack of funding. Now, at first I thought this was something limited to Jamaica, right? My small island of Jamaica. Surely this can't be something, that's the same for everyone else. But then over the last 3 years, the more marketers I spoke to across North America and a few in Europe, the more I started to realize this isn't just limited to Jamaica, but it's a problem marketers in general at all levels struggle with. This is compounded by the fact that I read a 2021 report that says 65% of CEOs are uncertain about their marketing team's ability to deliver results. Now, here's why I say there's a disconnect. According to the data, in terms of the research that I did, revenue-focused activities are 4 times more of a priority for marketers than brand. Yet, when you speak to marketers about what they believe they should be focusing on, they say brand. Now, let me say that again. According to my research, marketers say revenue-focused activities are 4 times more of a priority than brand. Yet when you ask marketers what are they focused on, they typically say brand. Now, the thing is that brand is 4 times less of a priority, yet brand is what the main focus is. Not only that, but when you ask marketers, how do you tie brand to business outcomes? What KPIs are you tracking to know that brand is actually having a positive impact on revenue and the overall business and not just limited to marketing? You're often met with answers such as, well, you can't measure brand, but it's important and it takes a while to see the impact. As a matter of fact, that reminds me of a LinkedIn post. I think it was this week, or probably it was late last week. I don't remember. Where there was a CRO someone else made a post, and the CRO commented that, marketers are always talking about brand, and yet he has never gotten a justifiable reason why the company should invest money in brand, right? Because all the marketers he has come across and spoken to have never really given him a response that he feels comfortable with in terms of, making the case for why to invest in brand. And I responded to that comment and said, well, you are right. The reason why you never get a satisfactory response is because most marketers don't believe it needs one. And then I listed about 5 or 6 different things or KPIs, metrics he can pay attention to to really see the impact of brand over like a 6 to 12 month period, right? And his response in that moment was, this is the first time that he has gotten a direct answer to that question. Now, here's why this is important. In the marketing bubble, the idea of brand not being measurable, or not having a KPI to see the impact brand is having on the overall business itself. In the marketing bubble, this seems like a justifiable response, right? It makes perfect sense. However, and this is what I think most marketers aren't getting, is that outside of the marketing bubble to other functions that determine the funding you want, this doesn't make any sense to them, because they use numbers and data to know whether anything invested in the business is worth it, right? Whether that is marketing, whether it's R&D, talent, product development, doesn't matter. Data is the justification for spend. Let me say that again. Data is the justification for spend. Any type of spend, not just marketing spend, any type of spend. So when your main focus isn't revenue, which you say is your top priority, but then you're saying you don't measure the business value of brand, then how do you expect to get buy-in? How do you expect marketing to be valued? The thing that C-suites value, which is data, and the thing they care about, which is revenue, you can't show how marketing impacts any of it. And the reason why we believe this is okay is because we've been stuck in the marketing bubble for so long with other marketers who have convinced us that this is okay. Yet we haven't taken time to take a step back to realize that this approach hasn't been serving us, no matter how much we try to push this agenda within our companies. Now, I know many people will disagree with this, and some people will not like what I have to say and still try to justify it, and that's okay. That's up to them. Everyone can do what they choose to do. But understand that my goal isn't to attack anyone. It isn't to attack marketers. I'm a marketer myself. But my goal is really to give us a conscious interrupt, to get us thinking differently about the things that we have done before, to take a different approach. Because at the end of the day, guys, I want us to win. I'm not trying to sell anything. I don't have a link that says click here for a free consultation or to sign up for my free masterclass or whatever it is. I'm doing this because I was once in that bubble. I worked for 3 different CEOs in 3 different companies who I thought just didn't get marketing. And so I left those companies, right? But it wasn't until I started freelancing and having more discussions with CEOs, with other CEOs, who tell me stories of marketing hires or agencies or freelancers they've worked with who offer a service but they didn't see the ROI. It wasn't until that moment it hit me and I was like, oh shit. The reason I or other marketers have such a hard time isn't because they don't get it or completely close to understanding it. It's because we're trying to convince them to invest in marketing, yet we haven't done a good job quantifying and justifying why they should do it. We haven't done a good job demonstrating and communicating the value and ROI of marketing that marketing has on the business itself. And that value or quantifying that value is not from a marketing's point of view, but from the CEOs and other C-suites point of view. And it was in that moment that I had my light bulb moment. It was in that moment I had my aha moment. And I realized that we have been doing this wrong all along. all this time, we've been talking about CEOs not getting marketing or not valuing marketing, but the ownership really wasn't on them, or the onus wasn't really on them. It was really on us, and us not doing a good job of communicating that value. And if you're saying that your CEO doesn't get marketing and you should quit your job, that's not helping to solve the problem either. As a matter of fact, it's very likely that the next company you end up at, you'll have to deal with a similar CEO with a similar mindset. And also, most marketers don't have that luxury because they have families they need to feed and they need to survive, and their jobs may be the only way to do that. I mean, I've spoken to several marketers who, sure, they would love to leave their job for whether personal reasons or they believe that, the CEO just doesn't get it, but they're unable to do that because, they need the income that's coming in from the jobs they have. So the solution really isn't telling people that, if you see you don't get marketing, then quit your job. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But it's to try and find a solution to a problem that seems to be plaguing all of us as marketers. And I believe if we come together as a community, and rather than, putting blame on CEOs not getting marketing, and rather focus all of that energy on trying to come up with, practical solutions, not just solution that sounds good in theory or sounds good in a LinkedIn post, but actual practical solutions, then, I think we can really start seeing some change that we really want to see within our companies and organizations. So my biggest hope and wish for all of us in 2022 is that we spend more time outside of the marketing bubble and less time engaging in trivial debates around gating versus ungating content, demand gen versus lead gen, marketing versus sales, and instead let's look at the bigger picture of how can we change the narrative within the boardroom so that marketing is seen as an asset to the growth of the company rather than an expense to be cut each year. More importantly, I would say learning how to better align with other non-marketing functions and form alliances that help to further our mission rather than thinking that anyone who questions the worth of marketing is an enemy of marketing. What I would recommend is for us to be more proactive. Now, what does that look like? I would say schedule time with your CEO to find out what marketing can do to have a greater impact on business growth. Schedule time with your CFO and ask them what KPI should marketing focus on to increase revenue and lower costs for the company. Schedule time with your sales team or your sales leader and learn how marketing can better align with them to help close more deals and bring in revenues faster. A report by Salesforce says that 57% of reps miss quota on average. Imagine if you could actually bring that number down to 35%. I mean, that's a 12% decrease in missed quota. You don't think your CEO would value marketing if that's something you could achieve and they know for a fact that marketing had a role to play in that? Anyway, I digress. So next thing, schedule time with customer success and ask them what can marketing do to increase retention and lifetime value of existing customers. I mean, hell, go sit with HR and find out what do they think marketing can do to increase employee morale and help foster a healthier work culture and retain their best talent through probably some marketing tactics or program, some internal marketing program. I mean, go have that discussion with them. You may say, why do I need to do that? Other functions don't have to do it, so why should I? I mean, the answer is pretty simple. Currently, marketing holds no leverage in the company, and that's just the hard, honest to God truth pill to swallow. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, if you don't believe me, let's get out of our feelings for a minute and look at things objectively. And, ask yourself these 4 questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the most, if you were to go to your CEO or CFO today and say we need a 20% increase in our budget, how likely are you to get it? Question 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you said you needed 3 new marketing hires in Q1, how likely are you to get it? Question 3. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you were to say that you wanted 50% of what your current budget is to launch a brand campaign, how likely are you to get that funding? Question 4. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you who determines how much budget you get each year? Or is the budget determined by someone else and given to you and you just have to work with what you're given? If your answer to any of these questions isn't at least a 7 or above, then you don't have leverage. 5 to 6, and it's basically a 50-50 chance, and that's not leverage. That's just playing a game of luck and chance. Anything less than 5, and even approaching them is a waste of time. So everything that I'm suggesting here is about building leverage, not attacking marketers. So let's get that very clear. It's about building political capital where now you can confidently go to your CEO or CFO, make the business case, and there's a 7 or higher chance they'll say yes because now you have leverage. And how do you get leverage? By using marketing to deliver on revenue and other business outcomes C-suites value and care about. So if I were you, before you put together any marketing strategy or program for 2022, here's what I would do. I know I want an increase in budget. So I ask the question, who controls whether I get an increase in budget, the CEO or CFO? Okay, I go to whoever controls the budget and ask, CEO, CFO, what do I need to do in order to get an increase in budget? I need to drive more leads? Okay. I need to drive more pipeline? Okay. I need to drive more revenue? Okay. Next up, I'm making is to my sales leader. And I say, sales leader, tell me what is the criteria for the best leads that you have closed in 2021. They give me that criteria. Then I'm going to my customers and saying, customers, break down for me why you choose to buy from us and not our competitors. In your eyes, what's the greatest value you've gotten from our product or service? Then I make note of those insights. Then I'm going back to the drawing board and say, what's my plan of action based on all the insights I've gathered? Then I put together my plan of action, I test it, see what works, improve. Test again, see what works, improve. And I keep doing that until I get the desired outcome based on feedback from my CEO and the results. Then I'm going back to my CEO and CFO and say, guys, you said if I grew leads, pipeline, revenue, whatever the metric is that you agreed on, that I could get more budget. Well, here's the data to show I've done just that. So I've kept my end of the bargain. So now let's discuss that increase. No. If after all of that they don't honor their word, no, it's no longer a matter of CEOs not getting marketing. No, it's a matter of principle and being ethical, which in that case, for me personally, I can't work with a CEO that is unethical. And now I have justification to quit because now you've just proven to me that in the future I can't trust your word, right? So in closing, let me say it again. This is about changing the narrative. This is about getting buy-in. This is about having a broader, more organizational perspective so that we know how to better approach and execute marketing in a way everyone can see the value we bring to the table. Another thing I would recommend is taking time to learn about functions outside of marketing. This can mean going out prospecting with sales for 30 days or reading books on sales or business in general. Now, why is this important? Because it helps you better connect the dots on an organizational level, how marketing can make a better impact to drive overall business value and not just marketing value. Even one of the things I started doing last year is going on YouTube and watching videos on how to read and understand financial statements. And it has been truly eye-opening for me because I realize if I know how to do this, then I can know how CFOs think and what they care about. And more importantly, I can know what numbers and growth levels to focus marketing on to make an impact in a way that a CFO would value, hence more budget. Also, knowing this information can be valuable in proving marketing's value to the CEO because what they care about delivering positive returns for shareholders, right? They also care about how to make the company appealing for VCs and other investors when they decide to raise. So if as a marketer you know what metrics and numbers investors pay attention to when they decide to invest, you can execute marketing in a way that positively impacts and grows these numbers and thus grow the valuation of the company, making it more appealing for investors to invest in the company. Now imagine if you could do that for your CEO. You'd be a damn rock star in the company as far as I'm concerned, because this is something that, to my knowledge at least, no other marketer is thinking about or doing. So that would definitely set you apart and truly show marketing's value within the company. So for 2022, it's about learning and becoming better as marketers and developing the C-suite mindset in order for us to play at that level. And it's impossible for us to do that if we continue to remain stuck in the marketing bubble. Guys, here's the thing. None of us as marketers started our careers knowing this stuff. I know I didn't, and I don't know of a single marketer who knew this stuff starting out. It's always a case where they ended up in situations that forced them to get outside of the marketing bubble and had to grow as a marketer to meet the challenge put before them. So understand that the function of marketing has changed from what we knew it to be, where all we had to do was create brand awareness and we did our job as marketers. But the thing is, it will continue to change over the next 2 to 5 years because that's no longer the case. And unless you're able to make that mindset shift necessary to keep up, you're going to become obsolete and be replaced by someone else who has a more updated mindset to meet the demands of the new marketing function. So, here ends my heartfelt rant. Join us again where I'll be having a pretty awesome guest, if I do say so myself, a real powerhouse of a woman. I mean, we talked about some stuff around customer success and operations and how marketing can better align with these functions. So, some really good stuff. I can't wait to share it with you. Until then, this is the Revenue Alignment Podcast, and that is a wrap. This has been the Revenue Alignment Podcast. Join us next week where we have more amazing content to help you demonstrate, communicate, and prove your value at the C-suite level. I'm Winston, your host, and this is a wrap.